One. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the Mad Nerds podcast. This is episode 11, our second trial at this recording of this episode. I'm, of course, your host, as always, Dave Superherodeuce, here with Mike.
Yes, Mike is the hat. We've definitely had a big giant failure yesterday. Like 2 hours of all this stuff.
Yeah, we
Oh, guess what? It's the keyboard today.
Yep, call the program in which we use, which I will not throw under the bus because I'm not that kind of person. Well, actually, sometimes I am, but in this particular occasion, I'm not that kind of person. So I didn't want to throw it under the bus. But basically, we recorded an hour and a half of a podcast that, well, actually, it was more like an hour, that never really decided to come to fruition. It said it was recording. It actually wasn't. It was terrible. So the big topic here, Mike, we're gonna, of course, our episode 11 is A Change Will Do You Good. There's been a lot of changes going on today as we're recording this. It is the winter solstice. It was the shortest day of the year. So that was pretty interesting. Craig Ferguson is no longer on the air. He is retired, or not retired. He is leaving the Late Late Show. Stephen Colbert just recorded his last show so that he can take over for David Letterman, who will be leaving. And, of course, their comics world is having some changes going on as well. With the DC Comics solicitations for March 2015. Some changes coming there. Mike, what are those? Tell the fans what's going on with DC Comics at the beginning of 2015.
So they're looking to cancel. Well, I shouldn't say cancel, but it is really canceling. They're canceling 14 titles, at least. They haven't released a full list. So we're looking at Aquaman and the Others, Arkham Manor, Batman Eternal, which had a full 1 year weekly run by the time that these will get the axe, if you will, in March. Batwoman, Green Lantern and the New Green Lantern, New Guardians, Infinity Man and the Forever People, Injustice, Gods Among Us, Year 3, which also had a full year run as a monthly comic. Clarion, which is one of their newer series, which a lot of people are surprised is getting shut down. Red Lanterns, Secret Origins, Star Spangled War Stories featuring G.I. Zombie, which is a mouthful, is getting canceled.
Oh,
Swamp
wow.
Thing, Trinity of Sin, which is another one of their new books, and World's Finest. So some of these, like Clarion, Trinity of Sin, and Infinity Man and the Forever People are all in like their first 10 issues. Clarion and Trinity of Sin would be at 6 issues by the time this happens. Infinity Man at 9, and Star Spangled War Stories featuring G.I. Zombie is actually at number 8. But those like war books don't seem to go over very well. With all of the happenings that go on in the world, so Arkham Manor, number 6, is going to be the end of that, and that kind of surprises me. I didn't think that one would be cut as quickly. That's the one where Bruce Wayne kind of buys Arkham Asylum, but then moves it to Wayne Manor,
Gotcha.
and that's where all the
Okay.
inmates live.
It's a bit of an interesting story.
Yeah, but all those books have to make way for Convergence, which is going to be the new DC event that's going to come in starting around April or May of 2015. So that's going to be a huge thing, and the new 52 isn't just a saying like these are the new stories. Like there's only 52 books that they're
Right.
allowed to have per year, so
Yeah, they got to
it
make
makes
way
sense.
out with the old, in with the new, some more change. And, something that's interesting about that is, of course, you're going to have some of these events are ending. So, like you said, they're not cancellations per se.
Well, and that's what I forgot to mention. Earth 2, World's End, and the new 52, Future's End, which is one of my favorite books out right now, are both going to be ending because their stories are over. Much like Batman Eternal, you have a full 1 year run. That
Looks like I'm gonna
story
have to
arc
fly
ends.
with Iron Man here.
Injustice, Gods Among Us, Year 3. Obviously, that's going to end. They're probably going to go to a Year 4.
Cutscene. Right, exactly. Of course, that book was called Year 3, so naturally this is the end of that year, and it's Year 4. Maria Hill's going to tell us about something here. A research
As David
submarine.
plays Lego
Lego
Star
Marvel
Wars.
Superheroes.
We gotta get on that. I kept it at least with a Disney property that time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so that's what's going on in the changes in the DC universe
Yeah, and just
right now, as far as what's happening.
so a couple different things that we'll definitely be sure to keep people informed on is, the new books have not been announced yet that will be taking the place of these books. Some of them had been doing incredibly well, but of course, with an event as big as Convergence, this is going to be a DC universe shattering event. As most of these events tend to be, it's kind of taking the place of Future's End and World's End and things like that. So this is going to be a big thing for DC with this Convergence event and kind of the merging of the worlds and everything that's going to be happening with that. And so this is a big time for DC Comics. I look at some of these, and they have been insanely successful. And so that's something that's very important to DC in order to get in those new comics. Like, a couple new series that it has mentioned is that there's going to be a new Batman Arkham Knight. There's going to be Convergence, of course, and then Strange Sports Stories #1. Now, that's a very interesting one to me. I'm like, what the heck? And, something interesting is that the old 52, it looks like it might be making a comeback here. Oh, look, Spider-Man's teaming up with Thor and Iron Man. Woo! Sorry.
Yeah, there's going to be...
Oh, what's up, Advocate? This is our podcast going on while we're playing Lego Marvel.
There's going to be some old books coming back. I wouldn't call them old books. There's going to be new takes on old characters. Obviously, the Convergence and the multiverses and all this nonsense that goes on in comic books, where there's like parallel universes all over the place. Kind of make it a bit crazy. So, but.
Yeah, everything is crazy. I'm trying to blow up these AIM guys aboard a submarine and apparently build something that I didn't know I was supposed to be building. Give me 1 second. Boom, boom. Okay, Mike, I just found that Marvel released which books they'd be releasing next year as well, which is pretty huge. So first I have to finish building this little thing over here, and then I'm going to look at what those are. I was not anticipating having to think so much while playing Lego Marvel Superheroes. This is kind of a kid's game. All right, you do that. All right, I have to build something here. Okay, so anyways, I'm going to put that on hold for a second. So Marvel's Solicitations for 2015. Princess Leia is going to be getting her own book, of course. We all kind of saw that coming with Star Wars being released in December. Hawkeye is getting a new ongoing series as well. And, Spider-Verse is going to be wrapping up, of course. So Spider-Man's going to have a few less books to be taken care of there. And of course, Secret Wars is coming up, so Avengers has tons of stuff. And guess what, Mike? This will probably not surprise you. There is a Howard the Duck #1 book coming March of 2015.
Howard the Duck is back. Everybody's favorite
ripoff of Donald Duck gets his new series. It just it goes to show, Mike, and we kind of talked about this in the podcast that didn't record, that the comic books have to find a way to merge with what's going on in the movies, because it's just a way to stay relevant. It's just the nature of the beast. They have to be able to do that. And so this is totally, what Howard the Duck, Howard the Duck was completely irrelevant. I just blew up Thor. Howard the Duck was completely irrelevant until he appeared in Guardians of the Galaxy. Nobody even knew who the character was. And then he just...
people knew because there was the Howard the Duck movie.
The abomination of a movie that is Howard the Duck. And the people saw that and they're like, oh my gosh, it's Howard the Duck! And all of a sudden he just kind of... Everybody wants a book out of him now. And of course with Disney having rights to the character, you don't have to worry about copyright issues of Donald Duck likeness and things like that. Disney actually already owns creative control over Howard the Duck and how he looks. So
the thing too with the Howard the Duck, I don't know how much Disney wants to go. Howard the Duck is supposed to be kind of a crude humor book too, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, so just and then something interesting too is that Nightcrawler's solo series is ending. And so that was something that I thought to be kind of interesting, because Marvel has kind of been getting rid of a lot of their Netflix or mutant characters in place of the Inhumans. And that was pretty... It just goes to show, they're probably going to have a new Inhumans book as they're pushing that movie to start coming soon. things like that. So once again, no surprise when everything that's happening is in line with the movies, just kind of like what DC's going to be doing. Like we won't be surprised if we see, you know, different Wonder Woman books, and if she all of a sudden starts to look like Gal Gadot, and
Yeah, exactly. The Paul Rudd
the Paul Rudd
Ant-Man
Ant-Man,
book.
which we're going to get to in a minute. Oh, look, a claw switch, and I don't have Wolverine with me, son of a gun. So just a couple other, you know, quick notes on that. So that was the solicitations. Let's see, all new Hawkeye. Kind of talked about that. Big Thunder Mountain Railroad is getting a comic. So
The
Disney,
the ride from Disneyland gets its own comic book.
the
Mr.
ride from
Toad's
Disney.
Wild Ride shortly after. Like, what?
You know what, Mike? That's the only
And then-
logical place. Let's be honest. That's the
and
only
then-
logical place.
And the the Teacup Ride will also have its own book in 2015.
And just expect late in December to celebrate Christmas. The Matterhorn #1 will be coming out, of course. Gosh, okay. So, anyways, enough of that. You know, I think we've talked enough about the upcoming Convergence events and the solicitations. Let's talk about some of the stuff that we read this week, Mike. What are some of the books that you did read in the DC universe and the Marvel universe this week?
I talked about the cover of Future's End #33, where I had the little girl dressed up as Deathstroke, and she had the helmet. She was drawing in blood on the walls, standing on a stack of dead people. So I read that. I caught up on Future's End because I was a little bit behind because of some issues with my pull box, and that was actually issue #32 that had that cover, if I'm not mistaken. But it was a good book. It hasn't been bad. There's not been any week where I'm just like, ugh, Future's End. I don't know if I want to read this. It's kind of blah, but it's doing what it's doing. That little girl is 50 Sue, somebody that Cadmus created. And Cadmus is the people that have been holding the Earth 2 heroes since the Earth 2, Earth 1 war. Well, it wasn't really a war between them, but Apocalypse, the DC Comics version, it came, and this is all preceding good old Future's End. So we had that. That's doing its thing. That was pretty much it. I finally, I looked for Batman Endgame Part 3, Batman #37. It was
Kiss
sold
my
out.
Asgard, you stupid AIM people. Sorry about that. Sorry, Mike, I didn't mean to interrupt.
I was looking for Batman Endgame Part 3, Batman 37. I did not get to pick it up the day it came out because it was sold out in the book, or in the store, which sucked. But I did pick it up today, and I have not gotten a chance to read it yet, though. But the cover is very weird, very creepy. It serves a purpose. The Joker is back in a big way. I talked about that when I reviewed the other two issues of Endgame that I've read so far, and the Joker is on the cover of this with his new face, smiling, his new haircut. His eyes rolled back in his head, and he's holding his old face that he cut off and making it do like a frown. So
Wow.
It is weird.
That's pretty nutty, man. That's pretty. Speaking of nutty, there's a comic that we've both actually been reading that we really like. It's Guardians of the Galaxy. So let's go ahead and get into that, Mike. Guardians of the Galaxy #22. They're going to Planet Symbiote, continuing that storyline. And Mike, what did you think of that one?
So Guardians of the Galaxy 22, we see the symbiote just kind of freaking out still after, they took it off of Flash. On Spartak, I believe that was, right? They caught him freaking out all over the place, or was that just some random?
Yeah, I believe it was. I
that's
believe that was
happening?
Spartak. Spartak's been a big part of this storyline so far.
So they had that going on. Then, jumped on Groot at the end of 21. We had that I Am Venom panel that ended that book, which made it look really cool. And then all of a sudden, 22 starts with a lot. Issue 22 is just a lot of splash pages, really. There's a lot of fighting. There's a lot of just weird dialogue. And then you splice in the story of how they're trying to get Star-Lord to be the president of the universe. Like they want him to lead Spartak.
Yeah, that was very interesting. And so, kind of the two big things that happened, of course, were, the symbiote decided to latch onto Rocket, which was a very interesting dynamic because, the symbiote, of course, had latched onto Groot. That was an amazing panel. And then, kind of at the end, something scary happened, and Drax, the Destroyer, all of a sudden had the symbiote latched onto him. So that leaves it in a very, very cool place. Leading into the next issue, which I'm just insanely excited for. Like, everything that's been going on with that has been so good. And, of course, we see Peter Quill, and Star-Lord, of course, and potentially leading the people of Spartak. And it's like, well, you know what? He is a heck of a leader. He's a weird dude, but he's a heck of a leader. So that was very good. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I'm having fun with that book. I'm glad I decided to put it into my pull box for, the Planet of the Symbiotes run. And then, like, we got the Guardians, annual #1. That was, a really cool story with the life model decoys that we talked about last week. And then it's been really fun for 3 weeks for me. So it can only
3 for
really
3
go
on Good Guardians
up.
comics.
Yeah. So, what else is going on in Marvel? I know we still have Access, and it's coming sort of to a head. It's almost wrapped up with the major storyline, not the backup stories and the tie-ins. But what's going on in Access?
Yes. Well, first, right now in Lego Marvel, Thor just powered up some stuff so that we could get across this oceanic thing that's happening here. So the spider sense is tingling. What you gonna do about it, Spidey? Where's your spider sense tingling? Oh yeah, pull with your webs. Yeah, party. Okay, now we have stuff to
David
build.
gets really into Lego Marvel when he starts playing.
Oh gosh, sorry, I'm having difficult. Well, there's all these little freaking puzzles that you think should be pretty easy for. Okay, why can't Peter Parker open that? He's supposed to be smart. We're gonna talk about that in a minute, though. All right, so I'm gonna put that down. And so I read a couple different comics this week. I'm of course trying to keep up with Access. I read Avengers World #16, and a lot happened in that comic, but the big thing that was important was that Dr. Doom he built a machine to siphon off some energy from Scarlet Witch, to siphon off some of her powers. And so that was pretty interesting because it's like, okay, normally Doom is, whenever he's trying to do something, he has very nefarious means involved. It's never for good. I mean, Doctor Doom.
Or it's to benefit him or suppress the people of Latveria because,
he's Doctor Doom.
They're not allowed to not be happy because it's the law.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because Doctor Doom said so.
I have no idea what I just did, but I made this thing do something. And so then, of course, the big thing with that is that he revived Cassie Lang. And Mike, you kind of mentioned it earlier. Paul Rudd's Ant-Man, and Ant-Man's getting a movie next year, so what would make sense? Oh, let's have, Ant-Man start appearing in comics again. And, of course, there will be an Ant-Man #1 with Scott Lang, and Cassie Lang is a huge part of his arc. He needs Cassie Lang there in order for him to have the emotional pull. So that was pretty cool. But the big one here, Mike, was Access #8, the next issue of that. All right, faceplate down, party time, everybody. Yeah, I'm Tony Stark. So, of course, the gene bomb is there. The X-Men are trying to blow up all the humans in New York. They only want mutants. So this bomb that can target your genetics is everywhere. And Spider-Man's trying to defuse it, and he realizes that he can't. He's not going to be able to do this. He can't figure it out. So Carnage, our buddy Carnage, who has all of a sudden become the most interesting man in the Marvel Universe thanks to the Axis event.
Good old Cletus.
Good old Cletus. Yeah, Cletus Cassidy. He comes up to Spider-Man. And, okay, if you're watching the stream, hold on. I have to stop playing Lego while Thor just charged that thing up. I need to read what Carnage said, because this is the all-time classic Carnage line that I have ever seen in my life. Carnage comes up to him and says, "You know what, Spider-Man? I will use my body to stop this thing. But I need you to do one thing for me, because I know this is going to kill me. When I die, you build a giant diamond memorial in my honor, made out of gold and jewelry and rhinestones draped in the Confederate flag right in the middle of bleeding heart liberal New York, and I want it playing Skinner's Freebird round the clock." Yeah. It's so Carnage. It's not even funny. It's just one of those things that like you read it and you're like, did they really just go that redneck? Like, did that really just happen?
Well, I mean,
And it did.
like, the character's name is Cletus. Like,
Yeah, it's Cletus Cassidy at his finest, and so the thing about that is that Carnage for me wasn't that interesting of a comic book character. I mean, he's kind of just an assassin, and yet all of a sudden he's been insanely heroic throughout Axis. Like I don't, they made me care about Carnage, which is something that I really appreciate. Like this kind of non-interesting psychopath all of a sudden has like a feels side to him. Oh look, a statue dedicated to Doctor Doom that I get to destroy. Woohoo! I just got another thing. I got another mini kit on Lego Marvel. And so, continuing on in the comic, he agrees to do this, and we turn our attention to the X-Men Avengers battle as Iron Man's doing the robot on the game. And you have Absorbing Man. He takes Thor's axe, his axe hammer thing from the Ultimate Universe, Jabberjorn, so that he can damage Apocalypse because, of course, it's an enchanted axe, and he can then take out Apocalypse with this enchanted axe. And so Absorbing Man, in order to help, he absorbs the essence of Jabberjorn, and he just goes to town on Apocalypse, who's, of course, inverted Genesis. And I'm like, man, just all of a sudden, these villains are getting so much more interesting because of this event. Like Absorbing Man, I mean, come on, like he had a cool part in S.H.I.E.L.D., but like, man, that just made him so cool. And then another big reveal was that Doctor Doom, goes and gets Dr. Voodoo, who's going to be having a huge run in Uncanny Avengers when that series resumes, with Brian Michael Bendis writing that. And he brings Dr. Voodoo to Latveria, where Scarlet Witch has just been wrecking everything, wreaking havoc. And Dr. Voodoo is so powerful in the arts that he has managed to possess Scarlet Witch, so that her and Doctor Doom can undo this inversion spell that's kind of turned everything on its head, which has been really cool. Like we've seen, Carnage trying to be good. And so the comic ends with super old Captain America, this rickety man that is Steve Rogers. He shows up in this Dark Knight Returns style armor with Professor X under his wing, with the Red Skull's, of course, consciousness way deep inside of him. And he tells Sam Wilson, Captain America, to get out of his way or he cannot ensure his safety. And it's just like, oh, something's about to go down. It's going to be Cap versus Cap. It's going to be awesome. Just completely set the stage.
Cap versus Cap.
Yep, it's going to be Cap versus Cap, kind of like a prelude to Secret Wars. And I just love the armor, man. Like, Mike, I wish you could have seen this. It's so cool. Dark Knight Returns and so good. It sets the stage that this old Captain America can come and still kick some butt.
It talks about the Dark Knight Returns, stuff like that.
Sorry, MODOK just came on the screen.
Like, let's not forget that also in another Batman comic book, there was two Batmans situation, in Nightfall, where Batman gets his back broken by...
I've just hammered all of you. Yes, get hammered. Not in that way.
Bane.
Yeah, Bane.
Breaks his back, and, we see Jean-Claude Valet, formerly Azrael, come in as the new Batman while Batman recovers. Now we have old Steve Rogers and Falcon.
Yeah, Falcon. This Sam Wilson, of course.
Sam Wilson. I couldn't think of his name. And they get to do their little battle.
Yeah, so I'm really excited for the end of Axis. Like, it's just been a hugely fun event. I don't even know really how else to describe it. It's just been. It's changed the Marvel Universe. Like, you say it all the time, like, oh, this event's going to completely reshape our universe. This time it really did. Like, it legitimately reshaped the universe. The Marvel Universe will never be the same. Trying to figure out what the heck I'm supposed to do with Thor here. Because MODOK's not dying. Am I supposed to just keep killing off these AIM agents or something? So I think that's about it for the comic book talk, Mike. I think we've covered pretty much everything we possibly can.
Yeah, comics are just going to keep getting better as Batman Endgame keeps moving forward. We'll have the full review of that. I'll keep going with Future's End. Guardians of the Galaxy will still be going. David will be able to wrap up Axis next week because it goes up to 9 issues, right? We're looking
Yep,
at
this should be
9
the
next
last
week.
one this week. I believe it comes out on Christmas Eve, so Merry Christmas to you, Marvel fans. Awesome stuff going on with Axis. I still can't figure out what the heck I'm supposed to be doing right now. I just threw Iron Man into the water and he just died. So sorry about that, everybody. Hold on, Thor's going to do some cool things. He's going to shoot lightning at everybody, because I think that'll be a nice little touch. Hopefully at MODOK. Can I hit MODOK? Nope, that's not working either. Hold on, going to pause that. So that I could look at what the next topic is on the podcast. Okay, so some casting news. Moving to the DC Cinematic Universe, Mike, there's been some news that Viola Davis has been cast as Amanda Waller in the Suicide Squad film. How do you feel about that?
Breaks my heart because I was hoping it would be Oprah.
You know what? I had this vision of there being a time when we could go to the cinema and we could see Oprah saying, "You get a bomb, and you get a bomb, and you get a bomb." Unfortunately, that's just not happening.
Everybody gets a bomb, and then we'll blow up everybody's head. But yeah, that's not happening. Viola Davis, though, from How to Get Away with Murder, she was also in The Help. She was in some other stuff that I can't think of off the top of my head right now. That
Eat
was
my
big.
poo, MODOK.
So she's definitely a great choice for it. I mean, you see like her cynical, maniacal, like borderline psychopathic side on How to Get Away with Murder, and that fits in perfectly with Amanda Waller, who's a suit. I'll put suit in air quotes there, with a dirty past kind of. So she has to have a little bit of an edge, and
Yeah,
I think that Viola Davis will play it well.
Yeah, I think Viola Davis is honestly the better casting. I think that Oprah would have been more interesting, because she has done some serious films recently. Of course, we've seen her in, I believe it was the movie The Butler, or it was something like that.
Well, Oprah was in The Color Purple, stuff like that. Like she can do serious.
Yeah, she's got serious down, so I'm not too worried about Oprah's ability to play the part. But like we've said, Viola Davis, not quite 100% sure how it's pronounced. She is just an excellent actress who's proven herself in this genre, and I really have faith that she's going to do good. You know what? I think that the entire serious persona of it is going to really be right up her alley, and she's going to do just fine.
Yes. Now, is there any other casting news? Because I know we've been kind of speculating with Suicide Squad for months. Because we had the Will Smith stuff and all that other nonsense with Jared Leto, not Jay Leto, Jared Leto and the Joker and all that. What else has gone down?
Thankfully, I don't think there's been any other casting news from what I've seen or from what I can remember. So the big thing here is that, Mike, there's actually been a lot. This Sony thing that's been happening, the hackening, as so many people have dubbed it, the gift that keeps on giving in this Christmas season. We're getting some emails that have said that before he took the role as Gambit, Sony was considering hiring Channing Tatum to be Eddie Brock's Venom. Now, Mike, it's been well established. Venom is your guy. He's your character. How do you feel about this? How would you have felt if this was true? Of course, unfortunately, it's not. But how would you have felt if it was?
Well, it would have been a much better choice than Red Foreman.
Than Topher Grace.
As long as he was just like, my name is Venom, that would have been funny. That's a 22 Jump Street reference. But no, Channing Tatum would have been great in the role because he has the physique for it. I mean, but I still have this picture in my head of Eddie Brock being Brock Lesnar from WWE UFC fame, because he's just a giant mass of a man that looks like he's taking steroids for it's that he came out of the womb.
Yes.
And he has the same haircut too, like the nice blonde, really short haircut. Well, I mean, I don't think he has much hair now, but Brock Lesnar when he was young had that stupid haircut that reminded me so much of Eddie Brock.
Yeah, the one that nobody liked. You know what? I would agree there. I think it's one of those things, too, where it's like you have to buy the fact that this person, if they just took on the symbiote, could still be an imposing threat for somebody like Spider-Man or a superhuman in general, for that matter. And I never really bought that with Topher Grace. I never, Sony to me, like, they've done a lot of things wrong, stuff that I disagree with, but this would have been one of the things that I would have stood behind. And I would have been like, you know what, yeah, that's a pretty good casting choice, but you know what, Channing Tatum as Gambit, even better fit. Like, that to me is just, okay, you know what, yes, Channing Tatum is probably the best fit you could get for a Gambit. Like, he's a ladies' man, he's totally going to be into the part, he's got some southern
sarcastic
roots. Yeah, like, he's got the parts, he's got the humor. I think I'm about to get True Believer here, I hope. Oh my gosh, MODOK, you're freaking twitching out.
Wow.
Go punch him, Spider-Man. Yeah! Denied only for killing my butt. Okay, anyways. So, back to the podcast. So, the other big news, Mike, was that the Sony's... Oh, there goes Dr. Doom in a submarine. No, you're going to trap us in here. Don't do it, Dr. Doom. Okay, so, the hackening, of course, has bore some unexpected fruit. Comicbookmovie.com has revealed that they have an exclusive source that has documents that show that Marvel and Sony... It's basically a done deal, that Spider-Man is going to appear in Civil War with a very small part, and then Sony would finance 25% of the movie and get some rights to some toys and some other merchandise, and then in return, Marvel would give... Jean Grey is going to join them. This is awesome. But not in Spider-Man, in Lego Marvel, if you're watching the stream. And but anyways, so then Marvel would 25% co-finance the first Spider-Man movie and would get rights to casting choices and cool things like that, to kind of help make this movie together and make Spider-Man part of the MCU. And so I personally really enjoyed that. Now I'm underwater and Jean Grey is keeping me alive. So, Mike, what are your initial thoughts on that? Of course, there's some other news we're going to get to involving that here in a minute, but what's your thoughts on Spider-Man potentially joining the MCU and kind of the financing? Like, this seems to make sense. A lot of the stuff on here, a lot of the details seem legit. Like, to me, goodness gracious, this is like one of the coolest levels. Oh, my God, I'm just having a nerdquake over here. Sorry, Mike. Go ahead. Just kind of give your thoughts on all this.
Well, if it's 25%, if Sony's putting 25% into a Marvel movie, which have, grossed somewhere around, $1.5 billion, like regularly recently.
Yeah, at least, minimum 700 million.
Yeah. If they see the exact same, like if they're not losing, like if they're putting in 25% to get 25% of the profits, like this is just how my mind's working here, they'll be making big bucks anyway. Like 25% of $1 billion is 250 million. Like that's a lot of money. If you only put in, say, like $60 to $75 million to make the movie with all the special effects and stuff that Captain America: Civil War is gonna need. So I think this is gonna be a good move for Sony if they do it this way. If this is in fact 100% true, then this is a great move for Sony's pictures department.
Yeah, I mean, let's just talk logistics of that. Like let's say, I mean, movies like that realistically. $250 million budget probably, because the vast nature of Civil War, you're gonna need some pretty big bucks to go along with this. So let's just assume that that's going to be the budget. You go with that, and then all of a sudden, okay, so Sony would finance 50 million of the 250 million, if I'm doing my math, or no, or 200 million. Let's just go down to $200 million. They would finance 50 million of the $200 million. And let's just say that the movie makes $1 billion. You'd make 250 million out of that. So that is huge. That is huge dollars that, like, The Amazing Spider-Man 2 only made $65 million after expenses. Just think about that for a minute. That is a budget. That is a flop of flops, okay? That is awful. That is terrible. That is nothing good. You throw Spider-Man in with the Avengers, and all of a sudden, he's going to make a ton of money. He's going to make I'm guessing that Civil War would probably make $1.5 billion at minimum. because you get Captain America, you get Iron Man, and you get Spider-Man all in the same movie. Just think about that. I mean, just insane amount of money. And then plus, it's such a low risk. You get the toy sales involved with that, which is where a lot of the money is. We know it. There's Spider-Man toys everywhere. It would just be a huge move for them to be able to do this. And, at this point, I don't see why they wouldn't. They need something positive. They've clearly run out of ideas. I read a report today that said that they were considering bringing back Gwen Stacy to make her the ultimate version of Carnage. It's like, are you seriously kicking this idea around? It's barely been in comics. Like, why would you... just desperation. So I think that this would be... Getting Spider-Man in the MCU, recasting him, would be just a massive thing. So the other big news that's kind of come out about this is that Marvel would like Logan Lerman from the Percy Jackson franchise to be their choice for a young Spider-Man. And of course, he was also just recently in Fury with Brad Pitt, an amazing film, very serious tones. Mike, what are kind of your thoughts on Logan Lerman and, rebooting Spider-Man with a younger Spider-Man? How would you feel about that?
That would in fact be amazing. Now he was Logan Lerman, 3:10 to Yuma he was in, which was a huge movie, and then of course the Percy Jackson movies. He was in the Three Musketeers as D'Artagnan, so he's been in movies where there's a lot of history. He was in Noah. He is pretty darn good as an actor. As a young Peter Parker, caught in the middle of this Civil War thing.
Have at thee for Asgard! Sorry, I just blew something up with Thor. Actually, it'd be from Midgard. I'm no longer on Asgard. Sorry.
He would be a great choice. He'd be a great choice for Spider-Man because he'd be the young guy, kind of up, like he's still up and coming. Like he's not like this movie would legitimately put him like dead smack on the map. Not saying that Percy Jackson and the Olympians and all that stuff isn't great, but
Doombots
to be included in a huge Marvel movie, just kind of puts that stamp of approval on you to kind of go on and do a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, that would absolutely be huge. And so, what, I look at that and I think that'd just be another great casting choice by Marvel, if this is all indeed true. Of course, until anybody comes out and either confirms or denies it, this is all just pure speculation. We obviously hope it's true. I do anyway. I would love this. And so, Mike, there was a couple other things in that report, too, like that Sony would want, Spider-Man to be at Disneyland and to have some Disney rights involved. What else came out in that comic book movie report, if you have that handy?
It talks about how the other Spider-Man movie that we don't like to talk about did very terribly, which you mentioned. Of course, there's talks that Marvel, the financing thing, but that deal would also allow Sony to use two major Marvel characters to continue the plot from Civil War in a Spider-Man standalone movie.
That's right. So let's talk about that for a minute. Like, who do you think, who would you want to be those two characters, and who do you think would make the most sense?
Like, realistically, if it's continuing a Civil War storyline and they get the Spider-Man part of Civil War correct to the comics, it would have to be, in my eyes, Cap and Tony Stark, so you could have that back and forth like tension between the pro and anti-registration forces. Realistically, seeing as getting Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. would run the budget of the movie up, and the fact that guys don't want to make movies 24/7, 365. So if they did like Cap and say somebody like Black Widow or somebody else that was close to Tony Stark, maybe I don't know how, I can't remember how much Rhodey was involved in the Civil War thing, or like in an ideal world you could probably do Reed Richards, but of course we know that Fox is screwing that one up in a whole different way.
Yeah, somebody, Mike, that comes to mind for me would be Daredevil, another street-level character based in New York who, has ties to Spider-Man, had a huge tie in Civil War. I feel like that would be a natural fit. It would be Daredevil would be one of the guys that I would want to be kind of in that that would make the crossover. And Black Widow would be another great choice. For me, though, I would take somebody like the Kingpin, kind of a villainous person who would be trying to benefit off of this, or things like that. I think that would be an interesting way for them to go. But at this point, of course, it's speculation. I agree with you. I think that obviously Iron Man and Captain America would be the obvious choices, but I highly doubt that Marvel would lend their two biggest guns to this in a kind of an experimental film, if you will, to see how Spider-Man would do in the MCU and how Sony would do co-producing this film. That's something for me that I'm still just a little skeptical on, but I think Daredevil would make the most sense out of just awesome heroes because you have his Netflix series. Yeah, I just webbed you to death, sir. And another guy that I think might make some sense, of course, would be, or another person that would make sense would be Maria Hill, because she's very close to Tony Stark, working at Stark Industries now in the MCU, as we all know. It would be somebody that would make a lot of sense, especially if she's working with New Shield. She'd be, on the pro-registration side. Daredevil, of course, has a secret identity, so he would be on the anti-registration side. Does that make a lot of sense, Mike? Do you think that would be something we could possibly see?
Well, yeah. Daredevil, from the beginning of the Civil War book, was with, Captain America and his anti-registration heroes. And Maria Hill is involved in the SHIELD portion of tracking down those, unregistered heroes.
Yeah, and she was a huge
cape hunters and stuff. So
yeah, she was a huge part of the Civil War storyline in comics too.
Yeah, that's what that's
really
what I'm getting at. Like it fits just as well as having Captain America and Tony Stark.
Advocate just chimed in on the chat and says, Team Red movie, Spider-Man, Daredevil, and Deadpool. Unfortunately, Advocate Deadpool is over at Fox, so he cannot appear in that movie right now, but that would probably be a weird tonal movie because Spider-Man's funny, he's kind of serious, he's kind of a medium. Deadpool is pure comedy, and then Daredevil is, of course, like super grounded and serious and just pure tragedy. Oh yeah, I got level complete, that sinking feeling, woohoo! Completed that level. So, Mike, the last big thing, of course, is Avi Arad, and what would his role be, and who would direct the film. We saw Drew Goddard as the guy that's kind of been rumored to be the director of that first Spider-Man movie in the MCU, which makes a lot of sense. He was very involved in the Daredevil series, which is another reason why I would think Daredevil would appear in that. And then he also went over to Sony to potentially direct the Sinister Six movie that I'm pretty sure isn't going to happen. That movie was looking pretty bad from the start. And that's something for me that I look at that and I just say, yeah, you know what, that to me clicks. Avi Arad being anywhere near this film, kick him out, give his fat butt some churros, get him away from this project, give him anything you have to get him away from this. Like, I don't want Avi Arad anywhere near that. They said he'd be executive producer, which would make sense because that's kind of more of like an honorary title, if you will. You don't really do much at that point, so... the Drew Goddard thing, Mike, Avi Arad, Kevin Feige is like the lead producer. What's kind of your thoughts on this? I think this is kind of our last thoughts on the whole Sony issue. So just kind of wrap it up here.
Kevin Feige pretty much has to be involved. If he's not involved, it's almost not like a Marvel Sony picture. So like, he needs to be there. Avi Arad, what are you gonna do? Like, that guy's not going to let it die. You know what I mean? Like, he's going to try and stick his name on there and, ride the cash cow. But
yeah, I mean...
I can fully get behind the Drew Goddard thing. Like, that's money.
Yeah, he's clearly got the Marvel ties. He's clearly got the Sony ties. He's a good director. I mean, everything I'm hearing about the Daredevil Netflix series, which he helped write, he was going to direct, the whole thing, and I think he just ended up directing the pilot. Everything's good coming out of that. Of course, everything that Marvel touches is turned to gold. There's, of course, incredible risk involved with this because Marvel has not had a flop yet. What if this movie sucks? What if Sony, totally butchers it? So this is a risk for Marvel, but I think it's one that the fans want, and I think that the fans are going to die to see. These movies are going to be a gold mine when they happen. So, I look at that and I just say, what, please make this happen. Please do this. Like, I would love that. I think that'd be just absolutely fantastic. and of course we love Civil
Don't
War.
suck.
We love everything about Civil War. This would be huge for the Marvel Universe to have Spider-Man there, and he's a huge part of the Infinity Gauntlet storyline. He's flying around, he's webbing around New York, and he sees half of the population of New York just die in front of him.
Yeah, there's that too. Like where that's part of the deal. Where if they did this, he'd be in the Infinity War Part 1, and then he'd get another Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, right after the Infinity Gauntlet Part 2.
Yeah. So there's parts where he can be in it, and it makes a lot of sense. So
yeah, so what I think that
it needs to be signed.
Just please get this done. Like they've said that there's going to be possibly a mutually agreed upon, date when all this would be announced. And we had two theories, Mike. We had the Spider Summit that's allegedly going to be happening here soon. The Statue of Liberty just picked up my submarine. It's Magneto controlling the Statue of Liberty. Hello, I'm Ian McKellen. Apparently I have a six-pack on my Lego suit. Why? Because I'm old and I'm in incredibly good shape. And anyways, I have to continue my hype from my other streams. But the other one, Mike, that we were saying would be just the perfect way to do this is at San Diego Comic-Con this year in July, July of 2015. If they could somehow find a way to get the casting done, get all these things signed, sealed, delivered, announce it, put it up, get ready for Captain America Civil War, and have the executives of Sony and have this casting choice of Spider-Man walk out onto the stage with Kevin Feige, Chris Evans, and Robert Downey Jr. The place would explode. I would have a nerdquake. It would take me a month to put my house together. It would just be the biggest moment of my life, and I would just die. I would be so dead in happiness. The internet would break. The world would explode. It would just be amazing if they could do that at San Diego Comic-Con this year. It would be so Marvel, and it would be such a way to get Sony and Spider-Man back on the map.
Yeah, I could see people in Hall H just like losing their absolute minds, like, and heads like actually exploding if they did that. Like full on, like just explosions, and I'm not like spontaneous combustion of people. Like, it would have to be televised. There's no way. Like, it's on YouTube or whatever. They'd have to find some way to put San Diego Comic-Con on TV.
Yeah, well, I mean, part of the magic is like, with Hall H, everything's always been so secretive. Like they can tell you what's happening, but they can't show you. Well, they'd probably have a trailer to debut with like I mean, I could just see them have already shot Spider-Man, like have one scene, have like just a teaser, and then like bring him out. Just man. Whoa, what's Hulk doing up there? I'm smashing satellites, of course. Something.
Yeah, they just had the Logan Lerner kid come out.
Yeah, Logan Lerman.
And just come out in the Spider-Man suit. Everybody would lose their damn minds.
Yeah, it would just.
It would be amazing.
Man, that would be the ultimate Marvel. So that's what I'm going to put my money on right now. I'm putting my money on San Diego Comic-Con, 2015. Marvel announcing that their deal with I think they'll announce the deal possibly sooner than that, maybe after the Spider Summit. But as far as like casting and like what's his role going to be, I'm gonna just throw it out there and say San Diego Comic-Con, it's going down. Hulk almost just nearly jumped off the helicarrier.
That was our other, theory, was that they're gonna do it at the Spider Summit thing, and that would be that. But it makes much more sense for them to do it at something as big as San Diego Comic-Con, which only seems to be growing every year.
Right. Of course, we had the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice thing with Gal Gadot and Henry Cavill and Batfleck out there. Just that would just be so huge, and I would personally love that. I hope that this is true. I hope all this is real for the sake of fans everywhere. And I just destroyed this damage control guy. So kind of to wrap up the podcast, we're going to save our rants of the week. We're not going to do that this time, because it's getting late here when we're recording this, and because I'm going to save my Marvel Experience review for another time. Real quick, I went to the Marvel Experience. It was fantastic. It's coming to a city near you soon. It's going to be in Dallas next. It's going to be in San Diego after that, and then it's going to be in San Francisco. So check the MarvelExperience.com. It's totally worth it. You know, I'm a Marvel fanboy. I loved every bit of everything that happened there. Just it's so fun. It's 4D. It's got a lot of great things going on for it. If you consider yourself a Marvel fan, or if you're just a superhero fan, or you have kids, or you just want to go have a good time, go to the Marvel Experience. It's great. So just, you know, Mike, any closing thoughts? I know you have to work all week this week leading up to Christmas. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, got to work all week, but it is, you know, Christmas. People got to get that last minute shopping done. People love the workout attire for, you know, various reasons. Everybody seems to be doing the healthy person thing now.
Or at least you have to wear things that will make you look somewhat fit, you know?
Yeah, something. So there's all. It was busy, crazy busy today. I'm sure it was yesterday too, and it will be, you know, leading up to Christmas.
Yes, and if you want Mike's
struggle,
if you want Mike's discussion on everything that he has to deal with, we will not be doing that on a podcast because Mike says he won't be able to keep it family friendly.
Yeah, that's not a family friendly discussion. The stuff that I see on like a daily basis, and the fact that I want to rip out the rest of my non-existent hair some days.
Yes.
With just the most ridiculous questions you could ever think of for people looking for shoes, and then like on top of that, just people being idiots. But I'll leave that for another time.
Oh my goodness, I'm shooting missiles at things off the helicarrier.
Instead of doing the rants this week, we have. I just wanted to plug, you know.
Yeah, we have an important partnership thing. Also, of course, you know we're doing this podcast on Twitch. I'm at Superherodeuce. Mike is at MikeIsTheHat. So definitely check us out on those. And Mike has a new thing that we're going to be promoting. We have a partnership with you know certain things. So Mike, go ahead and tell the people about that.
Yeah, so I signed up for Loot Crate, and everybody that signs up for Loot Crate gets their own little referral link, which is on my Twitch page right now. So every time you sign up through that link, I get like a certain little percentage of things. I think it's like 10% off or something of my next Loot Crate or whatever. But you know that's a big deal.
Yes,
considering that if you sign up for it for 1 month, it's like $20. And then it goes on down from there. They have 1, 3, and 6 month plans. The 1 month plan you get for $20. 3-month plan is like 17, 18, and then the 6 month plan is like between $16, $17. It's just a bunch of nerd stuff. That's really all it boils down to. Is Loot Crate is a bunch of nerd stuff. This week or this month for December, they're sending out a Loot Crate that has like the 1 year anniversary stuff for Loot Crate. You get some stuff from Tetris. You're getting Batman stuff. You're getting a couple of Ghostbusters things. You're getting socks from Guardians of the Galaxy with little baby dancing Groot on them. That's nice. The one item I will spoil.
Dancing
the
baby
rest of the
Groot.
stuff. I mean, there's people that have already gotten their December Loot Crates, so we'll be able to see them if you were to go look it up on YouTube. And also, of course, there's just a bunch of other unboxing videos of other Loot Crates that people have seen. So if you don't have an idea of what it is, you can always check it out there. And if you want to sign up, check my Twitch page, check my Twitter. It's there as well. Also at MikeIsTheHat. And then, of course, we're going to try to find a way to add it to the video descriptions and stuff. So
yes, absolutely.
If you signed up, I'll be very grateful for you.
Yes, and if you are watching
you'll
this
get shout-outs on all this stuff. So
yes, and if you are watching this on Twitch, be sure to hit that follow button. If you like what you see, like what you hear, I play this game a lot. I freaking love it. I'm a Marvel fanboy. Of course, I'm the co-host of this podcast. So by all means, hit that follow button. If you like what you see, like what you hear, follow Mike as well at MikeIsTheHat. We thank you again for joining us. This has been A Change Will Do You Good. You know, Mike, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What did you have to say, Mike?
No, well, I'm doing some new stuff on Twitch too with the WWE video game. I had a friend of mine, Jeff, who's at Toy Spotting on on Twitter. He has a whole different nerd gimmick. He does his toy hunting stuff. And we talked about it we're tying that into the WWE video game. So he has a lot of WWE toys. We tied that in. That stream is up and available right now on my Twitch page and will be broken up and highlighted onto YouTube here in the near future. Be sure to check that out. I gained a ton of followers from that, so thank you to all of those that followed that day that I was doing that. I did hit my 50th follower. So he's getting shout-outs on my page from now on. So everything seems to be coming together very nicely with that.
Yes, absolutely. So this has been A Change Will Do You Good, episode 11 of the Mad Nerds podcast. Thank you again for joining us. This will be up on YouTube probably tomorrow, probably up on iTunes not too long after that. So we appreciate it as always. Have a safe and happy holidays. Whatever you have planned. Be safe, be smart, enjoy your time with the people you spend it with. We love all of you. Thank you again for joining us. Hello to the NSA guy.